So recently I found out that a new Danganronpa game just came out. And I went to the store to pick it up, and I started playing it, but then I saw during the opening cutscene that there was like a section that I didn't recognize. Now, up to this point, I have played Danganronpa 1, Danganronpa 2, and the gravely underappreciated Danganronpa Another Episode Ultra Despair Girls. So I've played all the games up to this point, and I was like, what the heck am I missing? What I didn't realize was that there was actually an anime that ties into the games called Danganronpa 3, The End of Hope's Peak Academy. So I thought to myself, hey, I should probably check this out so I know everything going in. I don't want to be missing a piece of the puzzle and get really confused on the game. So I watched it, and it was amazing. So I watched it, and I was very, very, very impressed. Now, there is another Danganronpa series besides Danganronpa 3, and it's just a rehash of the first video game, Danganronpa. And it's good, but I like the game better. The game has some more substance, whereas the anime series really gets the gist of the story, but it doesn't have everything that the game has to offer. Plus, it's only 12 episodes, so that's very understandable. It didn't have all the time in the world like the Persona 4 anime did to break 60 hours into 24 episodes. Rather, it had 12 episodes to do a 60-hour game. So because I favored the game more than I favored the anime series, I was a little nervous going in. But at the end of it, I was very, very impressed. So Danganronpa 3, The End of Hope's Peak Academy, has 3 arcs. There is the Future arc, which takes place after Danganronpa 2, the Despair arc, which takes place before Danganronpa 2, and the 3rd arc is the Hope arc, which is the final episode. It's only 1 episode, and it ends everything. That's the end of the series. So the way that you're actually supposed to watch the series is you start off watching the first episode of the Future arc, then you switch and go to the first episode of the Despair arc, and then you bounce between the two, so it'd be 2nd Future arc, 2nd Despair arc, so on and so forth. I'm not going to talk about the Future arc too much. I'll give a brief synopsis of it. What it is it takes place after Danganronpa 2, and it's Makoto being tried by the Future Foundation for his crime of saving the lives of all the characters from Danganronpa 2. They are the remnants of despair and have caused mass chaos throughout the world, so they're wanted criminals, and many believe they should be dead rather than saved. But Makoto, who believed in hope so strongly, brought them back from the brink of despair and was able to save all their lives. So that's what he's being tried for with the Future Foundation. However, when Makoto arrives, all hell breaks loose, and it's shown that there's a new killing game. And this killing game is between the Future Foundation members. So there's a secret killer, and it's who is the killer, who is he going to kill next, etc. It has many, many twists and turns, and it's freaking awesome. Some characters that I've only known for, let's say, 3 episodes or so, I get very attached to. So if they end up dying, which a lot of people die because it's Danganronpa, you get very attached and it's very emotional, but it's still very, very satisfying. Now, the Future arc by itself is very good. It's very watchable by itself. But the Despair arc is so perfect in supplementing everything else for the Future arc. So because the Despair arc takes place in the past, we get to see how the events of the future were influenced by the events of the past. And it sounds a little bit weird, but once you get into the habit of switching between episodes, it's very, very, very well done. So the point of the Despair arc, it tells how the remnants of despair met Junko Enoshima, how they were corrupted by Junko Enoshima, and what the most horrific tragedy to ever happen to humanity was, and how Junko brought it about. And it's crazy. Some of the most violent, ridiculous scenes I've ever seen in an anime come from Danganronpa Despair arc. And I've seen Tokyo Ghoul, I've seen Berserk, the classic 90s series, and then the movies. And I've seen a lot of wild stuff. And Danganronpa 3 definitely delivers. So it's taken with a bunch of different characters' perspectives. Mostly the teacher of the characters of Danganronpa 2 and her interactions with them, and how she was teaching them and tries to protect them from all the badness of the outside world, and how it goes south and how she fails. And it also takes place from Chiaki's perspective, and it's really cool to see her. Now, she was a character in Danganronpa 2 that we didn't really see that much. Chiaki was a computer program in Danganronpa 2, and her goal was to try to save everyone and try to catalyze them to get back away from despair and the teachings of Junko. And seeing her alive and as a character is truly, truly beautiful. And she has some awesome moments, especially when she interacts with Hajime, who we see a little bit of. We don't see too much. We do see, however, Hajime's transformation into Izuru. And it's shown that he was transformed because he wanted to be on the same level as Chiaki, because she had a cute little crush on her. And like there's scenes with them and they're playing video games, and it's just like, aw, you guys are so cute. And then everything goes to shit. And it's terrible. What makes the Despair arc so successful in its presentation is that we are already attached to all these characters. So after playing Danganronpa 2 and seeing all these characters, and we know who they are and their goals and dreams and what have you, we get really, really attached quickly because they're familiar faces. So seeing them fall down that disgusting hole into despair is just so gut-wrenching, it's insane. And it foils so well with the future arc. So the future arc starts off all crazy and then gets kind of good at the end. Whereas the despair arc starts off really, really sweet and gets batshit crazy at the end. And one note that I will say, there's a reason why Chiaki is not in Danganronpa 2. And it's because she's murdered by Junko Enoshima. Now, death is a given in Danganronpa. It's practically the point of the game. The point is a bunch of characters killing each other and finding out who the murderer is. So it's to be expected that a lot of characters that we've come to like are going to die. Follows in with one of my great anime rules. Never get attached to anyone. Ever. But Chiaki's death is particularly heart-wrenching and particularly potent. So Chiaki is placed within a maze. And her death is viewed by all of her friends. And Junko's like, alright, you solved this maze, I'll let you out and you'll get to live, but it's a trap. Because it's freaking Junko Enoshima. So Chiaki dies and it's brutal. She gets like cut by blades and pierced by spears and bullets and all this wild stuff that happens to her. And it's just like, I just want her to die so it doesn't hurt anymore, right? But what makes Chiaki's death hurt so much is that we see all of her character development throughout the Despair arc. We see how she grows as a person, how she grows to love her teacher and her classmates. So much to the point that she dies for them. It's pretty gut-wrenching. But, in Danganronpa style, beautifully done. One thing that I'm particularly fond of with the Danganronpa series that's really prevalent in this anime is the use of blood. Now, there are some instances where blood is red, like very rarely, like if it's like coming from someone's eye or something like that. But if there's like a large amount of blood, it's used with this like pink-purple color. And I think that's a very tasteful choice. Honestly, it kind of weirds me out more than if it was just red, because I've seen red blood before in anime series. But seeing it as such a bright, vibrant, purple color, it's just kind of like, oh my goodness, what's going on over there? And when there is purple blood, there's a lot of it. Another style choice that I really like is that all the characters that are not prevalent, or like are not ultimates, have this like blue tint. It's the same tint actually that was used in Danganronpa Ultra Despair Girls. And I thought that was kind of cool. Just a nice little style choice. So, we get to see the future arc and how the world is saved. And we get to see the Despair arc and how it falls into place. And at the very end is that Hope arc. The Hope arc is pretty sweet. It's one episode to tie everything together. It finishes the series for good. And I'm very, very curious to see how things are going to pick up in Danganronpa 3. So I'm going to get on that as soon as I possibly can, and I'll be talking about that very soon. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate your patience with me cranking out these videos. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more, and I will see you guys in the next one.